Man vs. 50 with author Richard Maloof. Real advice and real stories on topics, regardless of age, and important to the modern man. Now, here's Richard.
And I just kept going. And then you're going down Allen Parkway and you enter into downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And the crowd is insane.
Loud.
Yeah. The buildings. It's like the last mile. You know what I mean? And something came over me. Two things came over me. I'm like, I got to finish.
Yep.
Because my body was like, we're not finishing today.
Yep.
Let's save it for another day.
Gone far enough.
Yeah, we've gone far enough. Let's plan B. And I knew the people I ran or that worked with me ran and beat 4 hours. And I was literally right there. And I'm like, I have to beat 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what happened to me, but the crowd, the fact that I was almost done, all of these things, like my body got a rush of adrenaline like I've never experienced in my life.
Yeah.
And I literally sprinted.
Really?
Like I look like a crazy person probably.
Oh.
Sprinted the last mile and finished in 3 hours and 53 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And when I got done, like literally I finished, you cross the finish line, they wrap you in like foil.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as they wrap me in foil, uncontrollable tears, crying.
I bet.
And I don't even know why I was crying, but I do because I was like,
It's an emotional experience.
it's like, I can't believe I was able to push my body to this level.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny about, you have, we talk about our inner voice. You have a million conversations with yourself while you're running.
Especially 24 miles.
Like there's people running past me that in your mind, you're like, I'm in better shape than that person. Why is he why is he or she running past me? Or I'm way younger than that person. Why are they beating me? Pretty soon you're like, who cares? This is you against the clock. This is you against this marathon.
Well, it's against your own mind.
My mind. And it really did something to me that made me feel that if I set my mind to something, I could accomplish anything.
Mm-hmm. Because
not only did I have to mentally be strong, I had to physically be strong also. But I had a lot of things going for me, right? Mm-hmm. I had a mindset of training.
Yep.
And I just stuck with it. I kept with it, even though buying the new shoes to try to be cool wasn't a good idea.
Yeah.
I had support of the team I trained with, these 3 other guys we ran with. I had positive support in the crowd, I was married at the time and, she followed through the things.
Yeah.
And so I had the support group, I had the mindset, and you want to talk about the vision of when we first got started, like manifesting me crossing that finish line in under 4 hours. I thought about this all the time.
Yeah.
And it's what kept me training. It's what kept me driving. It's what kept me doing all these things because I had to believe and set the vision, but without the mindset of training and putting it into action, I could never have achieved the goal. Right. So, but it did teach me a lot, so I try. Mindset is a very difficult thing, and we'll cover more about mindset in other shows and things like that, because manifesting, and we'll cover deeper, but manifesting manifesting scares me sometimes.
Why?
And I'll give you an example, because it is so powerful, and I don't think I utilize it enough.
Okay.
Have you ever been talking to Lori or something, or one of your sons, and been like, man, I have not talked to that person in a long time. And like the next day they like text you.
Yeah.
That freaks me out.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally spoke their name into the universe.
Speak it into the world.
This happened to me the other day, and it freaked me out. Because if it's that powerful, why am I not utilizing it for a lot more things? And then I start thinking to myself, like, it's kind of like our phones, right? You talk to Lori and you're like, I don't know, I was thinking about getting a new set of tires for my Mustang.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden on Instagram, there's ads for tires. Like, so that's like artificial manifestation, you know, the AI manifesting, which just freaks me out also because I'm just like, God, did they know? You know, they're listening to me. But it is powerful, and I want to explore that more and talk about that more with you. And I'll give you a great example. Maybe I'll talk about it in another episode also. But so when I left Birmingham, I was moving to Chicago for a job, and the company was based out of Peoria. So I had to move. I moved home for a little bit it was going to be training for like 3 months and then move to Chicago. And in the winter, there's not a lot to do in Peoria, Illinois. And there's just not. It's cold. You want to stay inside.
Yeah.
It's go to work, come home, bundle up, and just do whatever. So I got hooked on the show Entourage.
Oh, yeah.
And was sitting in Peoria, Illinois, in a living room, watching Entourage, thinking to myself, I would fit in perfect on that show. I'd be great on that show, you know? Why I was thinking that?
Okay.
No idea. No idea. So, but I watched like all the seasons and just was like addicted to this show. That's how I got through 3 months in Peoria.
The winter,
right?
yeah.
And so I got to move to Chicago and was doing this job, which I probably wasn't in love with. And that's a whole nother topic of a show, but wasn't in love with. And remember, I was on the East Coast. I was sitting in the parking lot of SiriusXM because that was a potential client, getting ready to go in and do a presentation. And it's pouring down rain, East Coast, it's freezing. I'm like, I just had this epiphany, like, is this really my life? Mm-hmm. And at that moment, I said, I don't want this to be my life. I want to make a change.
Yeah.
So I ended up going back. I was living in Chicago, downtown Chicago at the time. And I went home and basically called my buddy Scotty and made a decision that I was going to move to LA. And I had no idea what I was going to do, but I'm going to
call the director of
I'm
Entourage.
going to try to be an actor or extra or something,
right.
you know, whatever.
Right.
No clue what I was doing. I wish now I had a lot of that blind courage that I did back then, but I just was like, I'm going.
Yeah.
Like, didn't think it through much. So I went out there. A friend of mine, Lori, lived out there. So I had gone out there and she hooked me up with this photographer. I got some headshots. I got some whatever. Again, just total blind courage.
Yeah.
And my buddy Scotty and I drove from Chicago to LA. And then you get there and you're like, now what?
Now what?
Yeah. So I decided to go down to Central Casting, drop off my photos. And like, I still don't know what I'm doing. Because I'm just like, here's my photos. And go put them with the other 10 million photos you have, right? Yeah. I go home and I'm just, again, you're just like, the adrenaline of the move is over. So now you're really taking a step back and you're just like,
well, the daydream is manifested.
Yes.
You're there.
You're there. Now it's the mindset of, what do I do now?
Make it happen.
So the next day I get up, I'm driving somewhere, and and I get this weird call from a California number. I'm like, what is this? So I pick up, and the guy's like, hi, this is so-and-so from Central Casting. Can you be available tomorrow at 3:00? And I'm like, okay, this is exciting. I'm like, 'cause I didn't know what to do. Like,
Yeah.
to do what? And he said, basically, wear this, and be at this location. We'll email you the address. Be at this location tomorrow at 2:00. I'm like, okay. I go, what's the show? And they're like, Entourage.
No way.
I swear.
I've never heard this story.
You've never heard this story?
No, I've known you how long?
You've never heard this story?
No.
Yes.
Are you
I was on multiple
kidding?
times.
No way.
Are you serious? You've never heard this story?
You've never told me this.
Yes. So my first extra work when I got to LA was Entourage.
You manifested.
I manifested that unknowingly, I guess, but it shows how powerful it is.
Yeah.
And so season 7, like the last episode, Ari's giving his wife like the birthday party.
Okay.
And it's Christina Aguilera's there. I'm in a room with all these people. Christina Aguilera, all these people.
Yeah.
And in the scene, and then Ari, I'm sitting in a chair, and he comes and stands right next to me. And you can see me. I'm just sitting there plain as day. And it's a surprise party. So she walks in and we're like, surprise. And I'm like in the whole scene.
Wow.
So, and it was really cool. I mean, I'm on this set. That's the house. That's the house that I was watching. And I was just thinking to myself, 6 months before this, I'm sitting in Peoria watching this show. And 6 months later, I'm an extra on the show. And how powerful is that, right?
Yeah.
And it was such an amazing experience. All the actors that I got to see them, and it was just just normal. There they are.
Yeah.
Whatever. And it really, again, going back to the manifesting and the mindset, I really put it out in the universe that I wanted to be on this show. And 6 months later, I'm on the show.
Yeah.
How did I didn't even know how I got there. Like, why did I decide one day to pick up and move to LA?
Yeah.
Why did I do it? I mean, when I think back to myself, the courage I must have had to pack up, move my life to LA, and then survive LA.
Yeah.
Like, it's not easy.
Yeah.
It is not easy because there's a ton of rejection. There's a ton of judgment. There's a ton of stuff,
Yeah.
But through it all, I maintained just being normal and didn't try to be someone I wasn't. And I think that was my biggest success, is surviving LA, doing the things I got to do. And it's kind of like with my book, that story, and we'll talk about that on another episode, is a even crazier story.
Okay.
Even crazier. So, but things kept happening to me. So, again, manifesting, mindset, these are two things that have really impacted my life, because there's been plenty of times I wanted to lay in bed all day.
Yeah.
And not get out.
Yep.
Because of decisions I made or situations I found myself in. And if I didn't keep, what's a good word for it? Filtering, if I didn't keep cleaning, if I didn't keep, making sure my mindset wasn't stuck, I don't know where I'd be sometimes.
Yeah.
I wonder about that, and we're going through a lot of, this time is strange, right? Like, we're going through a weird time. I think social media has put so much pressure and influence mindset so much, because and I say this all the time, and I don't care if it's my catchphrase, whatever, but comparison is the killer of all joy.
Yeah.
And it messes with your mindset.
Yeah.
And it's either, I want what that person has right now. So they're trying to manifest what that person has, but they don't understand the mindset of what that person did to get there.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Steph Curry can't shoot the way he shoots because he never goes and practices.
Right.
It's just not realistic. And people never see the hard work that goes into it or, yes, they were blessed with talent
Sure.
and God-given abilities that not all of us possess, and that's
Yeah.
okay. I mean, my dream of playing in the NBA, I had to realize one day it's not going to happen,
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't my blessing, right?
Yeah.
So I just think trying to compare your life with someone else's, it's unrealistic, especially when 90%, probably more of what we see online is so fabricated.
There's an app that's called Be Real. Have I ever told you about it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I just think it's great because it's not fake.
Right.
Social media has that tendency to just, fabricate, like you just said.
We'll tell a little bit about what it does, because we took those photos when we did the car interview.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
okay. So Be Real, it's an app, you download it, and once a day, at a random time, you get a notification that says, take your picture. And it takes a picture of your forward camera and your selfie camera. And so it captures a real moment in your life at that time. And you don't retake it.
That's cool.
It's a click, forward and then back at you. Of course, you try to get creative too. You want to be like, can I turn the camera around fast enough to be in both pictures? Or, but it's a real life moment, which is so different from a lot of what we see on Instagram,
Yes.
That's like these perfect beach photos or
right.
perfect house photos. I'm like, my house doesn't look
or these perfect humans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. All these, modified,
Right.
But this Be Real, it couldn't be a better name for the app.
Right.
It's just, and that's life.
Right.
That's real life. And you do this posting, you're only sharing it with people that you connect with. So it's not like, anyone can just see my picture. We have to follow one another. So
that's cool.
You can still be very restrictive on,
Right.
who you're sharing with, but we do it it's me and Lori, my sister, my niece, my brother-in-law, my son and daughter-in-law were doing it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not cool or whatever.
Right.
Kids these days. But but it's just fun to see at that moment. And like last night it came on, I don't know, I think it was like 7 or 8 o'clock. And all of us were watching TV. It was just funny that we were all watching different things.
Right.
And, totally different stages of our night. Lori and I had just gotten home from dinner. So we were still in our dinner clothes,
right.
But my sister and brother-in-law and niece, they were ready for bed, stretched out on the couch watching TV. So
that's hilarious.
Just to be real.
No, that's
moment.
Cool. I like that. I mean, but to your point, I mean, it's just a tough world right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough, especially for kids. We're smart enough to know, hey, that's a little aggressive, right?
Right.
So I just think, again, thankfully, hopefully we're surrounded by good, positive people that can say this is unrealistic, but some of it does give you a little bit of energy to keep going and try to do something, because you do hear, not all social media is bad. I mean, obviously we're on it, but you do hear some good positive stories of things that happen that you're like, wow, that's amazing, and good for that person. I'm going to keep going. I mean, watched a lot of things on podcasting and stuff like that. I've heard a lot of things that are like, make me like, good, keep going, and that's what they just keep going, Doesn't happen overnight. Some of these people have, thousands and thousands of videos, and we just started, which is okay.
Yeah.
But it's pretty amazing. And so I appreciate everything. We'll talk more about it, because I just love these topics. And we'll get into some other stuff too that we can discuss that'll just continue from our experiences and things, because it's like, listen, I mean, we've known each other for how long, and you're just now hearing the entourage story? That's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I'm going to need some proof.
I'll show it to you.
Okay.
I'll show it to you. So, but I appreciate it again, man.
Yeah, thanks.
So thanks again. And I guess we'll see you next week.
Sounds good.
All right, man.
Thanks for watching Man vs. 50 with author Richard Malouf. Don't forget to subscribe